I recently came upon a study by Melissa Bright. Melissa's a research scientist at the University of Florida. Her study found that 31% of report cards handed out in American schools are handed out on a Friday. That next day, child abuse rates go up 4 times as much. Let that sink in for a minute. A 10-year-old boy who doesn't meet his parents' expectations, who doesn't fit into our current education system, is 4 times as likely to be abused because he doesn't fit into what society thinks a good student should look like. This study devastated me. As a private middle school teacher in North Wilmington, I truly care about each one of my students that walk into my classroom, and this study made me rethink what kind of education system I'd become a part of. A student who definitely didn't fit the current mold of our education system is my younger brother, Mike. Mike was, and still is, the nicest guy I've ever met. And Mike is good at things I would never be good at. For example, when we were growing up, he built a dark room in my parents' basement when he was 13 to fulfill his photography hobby. Mike's built his own computer, and most recently, Mike built his own cornhole set. Now, when we're throwing bags in the backyard, Mike kicks my butt, then he takes his show on the road and cleans up at all his local leagues. And the worst thing about Mike is just to stand there after he beats me and smile, and that really irritates me. Thank you, Mike. But Mike grew up thinking he was an average student because that's how the education system defined him. Nowhere on any report cards or progress reports that made it out of my brother's book bag to my parents did it say Mike was creative. Did it say Mike's mind worked in miraculous ways? Did it say Mike could change the world? I fell into this test-driven trap when I was a young educator. My first full-time job was at a private high school in North Wilmington. I was a part of a new program that supported students with learning disabilities. These students would meet in small group settings for about 52 minutes a day, 3 to 4 times a week, and I would help them navigate the academic scene of high school. And you know what? For a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of confidence in himself, I thought I was doing a really good job. That is, until the start of the 2016 school year, when I met one of my favorite people of all time and one of the nicest people I'll ever meet in my life, Sean. Sean was a new junior student at the high school I was at, and he had a history of not having the best academic grades. Well, I thought I was ready for Sean. I mean, how could I not have been? I had a list of study strategies ready for him. I had a detailed list of all his class assignments that first week of school, and I even had his parents' email ready to go in case I needed him. Well, those first couple of months of Sean were a struggle, to say the least. I just couldn't understand why he would get mad at me if I called him out on missing a homework assignment or called him out on getting a poor grade on a test. And then one day, when I was talking about my own personal high school experience, where I really struggled, it hit me. I was defining Sean based on all of his academic metrics and not on the person he was. Maybe if I got to know the person Sean, I can help him better academically. So that next day when Sean walked into my classroom, we didn't talk about academics. I got to know Sean the person, what meant something to him, what he believed in. And you know what? Found out some really cool things. Not only Sean is a great person, has an exceptional family, but he's a really good rapper. He loves rap music, and he has a great skill of being able to make fun of Mr. Ellis. By the end of Sean's high school career, he was an A and B student, but most importantly, Sean was a happy person. I recently read the World Happiness Report of 2018. The report analyzes countries' happiness based on a number of factors. The happiest country in the world they found was Finland. Not only are the Finns really happy, but they're also really good at hockey, and they also have the best education system in the world. And their students go to school a third of the time American students go to school. Crazy to me. Happiness and education linked. So, between my research on the effects of report cards, the World Happiness Report, and my own personal stories, I wanted to take a closer look at how we can make some small changes to our education system. Now, my goal is not to throw a bunch of education banter your way today. I only want to start a conversation about how we can start making small changes in our classrooms. So here's 5 ways to do that. Number 1, empower your students. Think about the current hierarchy in today's education system. Depending on your educational setting, you have the headmaster and superintendent up here. You have the principals right here. You have the admin team right here. You have the teacher right here. You have the staff right here. And then all the way down here, you have students. Students don't have any power in our current education system today. Let's give them power. Let's give them power by letting them know that they're special and letting them know that they can do something in this world. Number 2, get to know your students. Nowhere in any educational textbook or any education class did it say, get to know your students. So here's a solution. That first week of school, instead of just doing syllabus day, take that week to get to know your students. Take that week to get to know every child that walks in your classroom. Think about the first job interview you've had. That company that was going to hire you took time to get to know you. Took time to get to know you as a person so that you would be a good fit for their company. Create that same method in your classroom. Make it like a family atmosphere. Number 3, slow everything down. Our current education system is like a fast food restaurant. I was in a fast food restaurant line the other day, ready for my baseball game, and my mentality was, I just want to get this food and get out of here. I'm not so worried about my figure right now. I just want something to eat, and I want to get out. Okay? And I want to get to my game. Instead, fast food restaurant should be like a steakhouse. Think about your last experience at a steakhouse or your last experience at your favorite restaurant. You took time with usually people you care about to eat that steak. Think about the preparation of that steak. The cook took a long time to make sure they cooked it exactly how you wanted it so you could enjoy it. And you probably talked about that steak dinner 2 weeks later. You definitely were talking about your meal at a fast food restaurant 2 weeks later, unless you got food poisoning from it. Number 4, cut out all the homework. Our students go to school 8 hours a day, 180 days a year. They don't need 2 more hours of homework to do a day. Let students be kids. God knows they don't have enough time to do that. Number 5, no more standardized tests. According to the Washington Post, the average 8th grader spends 25.3 hours a school year taking standardized tests. These tests have caused really good teachers to slash innovative assignments and creative projects in order to teach to a test. These tests have ruined students' creativity and imagination in classrooms and have caused really, really good teachers to become robots. these tests should be eliminated. But change can't happen overnight. We've been so trained as a society to become quiet about our current education system. Well, it's been this way for so long, and it's kind of comfortable. Why do we have to change it? Well, as a middle school teacher, we have to change it because our students are being defined by a letter grade on a 5th grade math test. They're being defined by a standardized test that means nothing in the long run. Instead, we need to make it a focus to get to know our students as people. Now, a lot of my talk so far has been towards parents, teachers, administrators, but I'm a middle school teacher, and I love what I do, and I love the place I work at. So now I want to focus my talk to the students. So this is for the students. Look, I think it's really important that you get good grades. I mean, I think they serve a purpose, and you should try your hardest every day you walk in the classroom. But more importantly, I want to tell you that you matter, that your voice counts, and that you can be anything you want to be in this world. But more importantly, being the best version of you has a great possibility to change the world. Thank you. Thank you.